Namaskar. Welcome to our second part of the Agnipath panel discussion that gives Agniveers to our Indian Armed Forces. I'm thankful to each one of you as we got a very encouraging response from each one of you here, and I'm pleased to give you the second part on the panel discussion. We are starting the video right from the point we left on our first video. Thank you very much once again. Stay with the video, watch till the end, and please do give us your valued comments. Thank you very much. Happy watching. General Pawar, I will come to you. General Jha did mention that Agnipath as a scheme would definitely provide, on one side, it will provide the youthful regiment or the youthful army of the people, which are their youth in their prime. Secondly, it would also address the economical challenges of the armed forces by reducing the pension bill specifically. So what are your views on this, sir?
See, when we think in terms of the benefits of the scheme, no doubt the government is benefited. Firstly, by saving budget which can be used for the modernization purpose. And basically it is the salary and the pension budget, which is, I think, quite some about 60% of the total budget or so. Another person, the youth who are joining as Agniveer, they are benefited because at the age of 17 to 21 year, most of them, they are unemployed and nobody will give them 30 lakhs rupees just for working for the 4 years, and that too they'll be learning some skills also as well as the disciplinary norms also. They will be developing feeling for the national being first. That is also there. What is basic issue in Agniveer? It is not to make the government happy, not to have the skilled and the disciplined force in civil, because the total army is about 13 lakhs, and out of that, whatever they will turn back, it will take a very long time to make a difference in the 140 crore population. Where the niche comes is the end user. And here end user is the army or navy or the air force. So they are getting a youth full of energy. No doubt their age profile will be reduced. Age profile means new blood, new enthusiasm. Definitely, it's a good step. But at the same time, studies were conducted and it was found up to 35 years. Our soldiers, they are as effective as 20 years old in the arduous conditions there. So that part there, just only getting this advantage for 4 years may not work more. To General Jha. So General Jha, one is the end user's benefit, that is Indian Armed Forces. How it is going to impact, how it is going to help them. Number one, sir, there is another concern about the public at large. Please address that as well. People say that 6 months training is not sufficient to fight any enemy, be it Pakistan, China, or whatever. So kindly address this, sir.
Okay, when we talk of end users, end users status or their preparedness, you see, end user is a very in our army. Actually, we are overtrained army. We are so we are trained so much that when actual things happen, we do not do the right things. I will give you a couple of examples.
So we become
in Sri Lanka, when we were launched during the time, during training, what we do is we fire a different kind of ammunition, and at that time, after firing, our Jawan used to collect those khokas or sikkas, the fired cases, and go and deposit it there. If anyone was lost, he was kind of punished and given a lot of ragging. So in Sri Lanka, when one one of my units landed up there. After engagement with the LTT, the Johnnies were looking for their Sikha in the actual battle. So what I'm trying to say is we are so overtrained. Now, actually, to train a soldier, we spend almost a year. That is 365 days, 52 weeks in the center. That is for the basic infantry soldier. But for other arms, sometimes it is more, sometimes it is less. Because they go in for a skill thing like armored corps, they have to do little more of orientation on the tanks and things like that, artillery on the guns. And so they take little more time. The question is, the similar kind of a efficiency of a soldier in the US Army, a recruit is trained for just 11 weeks.
Oh.
And that too, in that it is basically to, shed their baby fat and make it into a lean army fellow.
Right.
Just 11 weeks. And firing is nothing. Once you know the weapon, you know how to load the ammunition into it and aim and fire. Now, question is, we don't really need that kind of a training. So, actually, I have recommended to the center also there I had an interaction with some senior officers in the army, serving officers, and I said, you must review your training philosophy at the center. 4 to 6 months is maximum where a soldier should stay in the center, and they should move into the battalions. Give them more time in the battalion because on-the-job training. And once they are there with a lot of men that are there already in the unit, the smart guys will pick it up in about 10, 15 days. And those are the 25% people we will retain, and 75 we tell them. It is not that they are bad, it's just that there are only so many seats. Now,
Right.
when they come in the seat, I just wanted to also apprise this panel that actually the number of people that will be moving out, the 75% of the Agniveers, they are much more in number than what the CPOs and the other government agencies can actually handle it. The 10% thing is very little actually. This was input given to me by very high-ranking guy in the
After
army.
2 years, it would be a
Uh,
circulation of about 25,000 people per year.
yeah,
Sir,
it's
but
quite a bit.
that is, so that is higher than what the intake now is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
that's
of
what.
now,
That's,
as of now, you enroll a guy into the army and he stays there and he occupies that vacancy for the next 25 years.
Right.
So you're giving more jobs to more people.
correct,
And
correct. So no, what
the-
I'm saying is the second part of the deal the government was trying to do with the Agniveer prospects was that to get you into some kind of alternative. What is happening is the number that is coming out of the army after 4 years is really humongous. It's quite big. And to that end, government has to actually work or scratch its mind more to ensure that they are adjusted.
There is some issue with General Jha's video. So I'll come to you, Colonel Rana. So
yeah.
Since you are from this recruitment in the armed forces, in the army, so would you like to give us the perspective how it is at par with other nations' similar schemes?
Yeah, as General Jha just put in that ours is a overtrained army, and I fully agree with this. Anything beyond, I would say, 9 months, actually is a overtraining at the recruitment centers and the training centers. And if you just try and compare, I'll go slightly at a tangent to make a point here. Or a terrorist gets trained within 15 days, and a thoroughbred terrorist, it takes about 3 months to get trained. So what is
They are called
stopping?
hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore. What is stopping the soldier who is a volunteer and who's got the best training facilities at the various training centers to get trained in 9 months? One. The second thing is that over the years, in the last, I would say, 5 decades or so, the army requirement of training has changed. Earlier, it was actually the man behind the gun. And you actually had people who were actually illiterate, people who got into the army, and then they had to be trained right from the scratch right from even wearing a trouser to boots and everything. Now you get more, I would say, qualified people who are 12th pass. I have come across people who are graduates and postgraduates who want to join the army.
Right.
So when you have that sort of a selection, that you have a graduate or a postgraduate coming in with higher IQ level, with good fitness levels, you don't require that sort of training which you had to when 50 years ago, when the army was just after the independence, say 75 years ago. I have served with illiterate Subedar majors who actually used their thumb in instead of a sign. Now, as I left the army, I came across people who are more qualified than the officer class.
Right.
So the training cannot be obsolete now. You have to make it a smart training now.
Okay. Good point, sir. Thank you. This lighting us on this perspective. With this, General Pawar, I'd like to come to you. I mean, I have one burning question in my mind. Agniveer is so effective, or something like that on the similar line. So we have seen the examples in various countries like US, China, Russia. I mean, Europe, Israel. I mean, they have the mandated services for the armed forces. Why government do not implement that, introduce that every youth has to go a permanent mandatory armed forces services?
See, conscription is generally in those countries where youth do not volunteer for the military services.
Yeah.
In our country, though this scheme, Agniveer, is an optional scheme,
Right.
and you see the number of the youth turning up for recruitment. It is, I think, for one vacancy, there are more than 50 persons in the line there.
More than that.
So,
sir.
so more than that. So country like ours, we don't need conscription because people are willing to join services there. As long as
you are saying in average man world, I mean, there is an ample supply of the people who are keen joining in armed forces. So we need not to make it mandatory service.
India is a different country by itself. Our borders are very large, and that too having two enemy on our front. We have to guard almost more than 13,000 kilometers of the LOC and the LAC. And in that, we cannot take it lightly. We are going to occupy each and every point, vulnerable point, where we feel, yes, it is required to be defended. So an army fighting its own country, like Israel, they are fighting for themselves.
Right.
You see the difference in Israel, but Israel population is so minuscule. Everyone is conscripted there. It's not only 4 years or 5 years, as and when they are required, they are going to be. And even people of age up to 80 years or so, they are turning up, they give me some job for their country. So the difference we are going to realize. Our army is fighting for defense of own country, facing two enemies on our LAC and the LACs. We cannot compare our system with the US Army or the UK Army. So far, Chinese Army is concerned, which is our neighboring foe, they got about 50 lakhs army. And they are giving because they got only single child norm.
Sure.
No parents wants to send their child to the forces. So perforce they got to implement conscription there.
This particular piece. So, sir, again, I'll come back to Colonel Rana, that because you are involved in the recruitments and we have been talking about these people who are coming out after 4 years, what would happen? So, would you like to throw a light on this particular question, that is there any mechanism, is there any process or any SOP defined between the various government agencies to figure out or to absorb these people? I mean, if somebody is coming up, for example, these 10,000 people comes out from the first lot, and how they are going to absorb, I mean, how they are going to get to know which paramilitary force or which PSU has the opening where they should apply. These kind of the dashboard, these kind of the job boards have been created by the government, something like that.
As of now, I don't think anything on those lines has been thought of.
Okay.
But for the paramilitary forces, as I said, the CISF, CRPF, the RPF, and what else is all the BSF. So, like the Indian Army, they also have their recruitment happening every year. So they have these. There is a set process wherein there is a notification on the employment exchange and in the employment news and in the national dailies, and there is a recruitment drive which happens in every district. So and with the scenic boards in each district, I am sure there would be some streamlining towards getting the right person to the right place. That is one part. That is a switch from the army uniform to the khaki uniform or the police uniform. The second switch is from the army uniform to uh, the blue uniform, which is the security guards, which is more paying and better life and closer to the house. Because in the army, most of the army, I would say 2/3 of the army, actually, I'm talking of the PBOR, they stay without families. They
Right.
stay as bachelors in their units, and it is a nightmare for a person to be serving unless he's very motivated and he's got the right set of what do you call plans in place, wherein he gets his family and teach and gets his upbringing, the upbringing of his children also into the. But once you are trained and you come out and you get a job outside in, say, SIS or Group 4 or Peregrine or any of those good security companies, then you're staying at home. In the 4 years, whatever savings you made a good, nice house for yourself. You're staying, at the end of the day, you go back to your family, stay with your children. So psychologically also, the person is at peace.
Okay.
That is a very important part. And what General Pawar just said, which is a very, very important point, that our adversaries have numbers in their favor. Like he mentioned, I do not know whether it is a right this thing. The 50 lakhs is the army strength, the head count of China, and ours is 13 lakhs. So I think Agniveer is the step into the right direction, because when something goes wrong and you require people to get enrolled overnight, you have a trained manpower which is waiting for that sort of a thing happen. Say 10 years down the line, you have close to about a million people of the Agniveers who have served in the army, and then they are in the jobs outside, and you require, so you can always call them back from the reserve list, and you have a standing army which is the reserve, and for which you are not paying directly. Of course, you are paying from the GDP. The private corporate is paying, the paramilitary forces are paying for them, but it is not a direct burden on the exchequer. It is not a burden on the taxpayers' money. So they are a reserve force which you can now have a head-to-head count. Say China, I don't even consider Pakistan to be a threat anymore now. So I think that is my viewpoint on this.
Perfect, sir. Great. So I'm reaching to a conclusion that the Agnipath and Agniveer are, as a concept, are good. As a policy, as a process, is going to be good and is going to benefit the country in the long run. But I have a couple of more questions here, and one more question to you, General Pawar. So why veterans are divided on this concept? I mean, there is a certain segment of the people who are appreciating the policy, the Agnipath policy. There is another set of the veterans who are criticizing it. So where is the mismatch?
Is end user going to be benefited? Is his condition going to be eased out, or is going to be more stressful?
Okay.
That point is, in that context, should be taken. They are not against the government on a scheme. It's a good scheme. They make it implemented well. As far as only the financial part is concerned, that is not accepted. Because army should not be considered as a tool of investment. It is you're maintaining your geographical boundaries of your country. And for that purpose, no amount is cheaper in case country can afford it. And once the user feedback comes back, yes, what modifications are required, or is it itself good? It will all completely has got to depend on the feedback from the end users.
Right,
And
sir. I got your point, sir.
that
So, sir,
also,
what you are saying is that the policy, rather, we all are discussing that policy seems to be very good from the qualitative
yes,
standpoint.
it looks good.
But yeah, it looks good, but only the implementation, right execution would make a difference to it.
Another thing, like suppose rehabilitation part. How government is going to manage the rehabilitation of the Agniveer who are coming out? If it is a respectable rehabilitation, acceptable rehabilitation, probably more and more youth would like to join.
Okay.
But if you see their condition, yes, they are not getting the good absorb into the CAPF, or they are unable to start some of their ventures with the small capital was they got, or their social acceptability is not there after that. In
Right.
that case, they are able to think of how to modify the scheme to make it more user-friendly. That is
Okay,
my
sir.
take.
Thank you.
Sir, I have 2 points
Yeah, sir.
based on what General Pawar just said.
Sir.
The 2 points which I want to make here. The first point, which is very, very pertinent, which General Pawar just mentioned, was that there has to be a review of this, the concept which is put into place, and I'm sure it will happen. Maybe 2 years down the line or 4 years down the line, this 4-year period might get increased to say 6 years, and the retention from 25% may go to 33%. This has actually happened in the past also. Earlier, there were short service officers who served for 5 years. Then there was a scheme which came in that they could keep working for another 5 years and then another 5 years. So as of now, they can actually opt out at 5, and they can actually opt out at, I think, 10 also. So similar sort of a mid-course corrections, once you get a feedback from the environment, will happen for the Agniveer scheme also. I'm sure of it. Because there has to be, it cannot be written in stone that this is the concept and this has to go through all the tests. There would be some mid-course corrections which will happen in due course of time.
Right, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. So, one more last question I'm coming to you with, to you, Colonel Rana. Do you think, given this kind of the criticism across the country, I mean, in parts and pockets, I'm not saying across the board, but across the country, we see the criticism. We see the criticism from the political parties. Fine, they have their own interest. We are not talking about that. But do you think that the government was not able to market this scheme effectively?
I would say yes and no both.
Okay.
Yes, I would say because it was politicized too much. It was not required to be made up into a political issue. And no, because you don't require to make it public. These are policy matters where the environment, basically the people who are serving, the people in uniform, they are the ones who should have taken a call on this, and their word should have been final on this. And once they agree, and I'm sure when the CDS came in, and he was the instrumental in agreeing to this, there would have been case studies and there would have been a lot of background work which would have happened before this, because we are not getting any negative feedback from the people in uniform. It is only the outsiders, basically the politicians who want to have their own say in the recruitment part, and just to agitate the people who want to vote politics. Because I am not aware, unless both the generals have something to say on this, that there is a negative feedback from the Indian Army as such. The people who are serving on ground, they are the ones who will have the final word on this.
Okay. Great, sir. Thank you, sir. So unfortunately, General Jha was not available due to some technical error in the second part of the discussion. So we missed him. And with this, I am really grateful, and I would like to thank General Pawar and Colonel Rana, both of you, and to General Jha as well, for sparing the time and throwing the light on the Agnipath scheme and letting us know or letting the nation know through our Let Us Talk channel about the qualitative benefits of the Agnipath scheme as the country level, as the society level. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, General Pawar. Thank you, Colonel Rana.
Thank you,
Thank
Dhiran.
you.
Nice discussion. And thank you, Kalnana. Thank you.
We just listened our distinguished guests who have been involved on defense policy matters for a long time. As per them, Agnipath scheme should only be validated by the Indian Army and other armed forces, as they are the end users. They would be able to give us the comment in the times to come, and based on that feedback, Indian government should consider any policy updation if required. With this is Dhirendra Gaur signing off. Please do subscribe if you haven't, and also provide us your comments to help us improve further. Thank you very much.